I just came from one of the best trips of my lifetime. So went away sailing with one of my best mates. We went for 5.5 weeks. Well, he's been sailing around for about 2 years, I think now. And I went and joined him. Where I met him was in the Marquesas Islands, which is pretty much in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
This production was recorded at the podcast studios in the Media Arts Centre at Murdoch University. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Murdoch University. Any content provided by the hosts and guests are their personal opinions and are not intended to represent the views or opinions of the university, its administration, faculty, or staff. Now we have that out of the way, let's talk science. Paramount importance.
So that's one of the biggest oceans, or the biggest ocean in the world. And we sailed around there for a couple of weeks. And then we went to the Tuamotu Islands, which is that's all part of French Polynesia.
Yep.
And there's the Tuamotu Islands are like coral atolls, and the Marquesas were volcanic islands. So the volcanic islands are like these structures that have just risen out of the ocean, and they're very steep, vertical. And then the coral atolls are literally dead volcanic islands that have eroded away or sunken over time, and then the coral has built around the outside of them, and then you get this like big lagoon in the middle, and then the outside's just this really small perimeter rim of like an island that's made out of dead coral.
Yeah, but we're talking pretty high peaks as well, like
not the coral
mountains.
atolls.
Oh yeah, okay.
But those mountains had some pretty high peaks. Yeah, they like one of the most spectacular scenes like I've ever seen. Diving them as well is pretty like unreal. It's just like this vertical drop goes from like this massive cliff face that's hundreds of meters in the air, and then just goes straight down, and then it just continues down to about 200 meters of water. Like no slant or anything. It was just straight down.
Not what you're used to in southwestern WA at all.
No. Yeah. I think if like any WA listeners, it's like seeing Bluff Knoll and then the deep ocean connected right next to each other.
Yep.
Like just this vertical drop. Pretty.
So have you ever dove anywhere like that before?
No, definitely not. No, it was
some surprises.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like because you're like going along a wall, everything. Well, one thing that was quite strange is actually the fish didn't swim like vertical. They swam like horizontal. Like they swam as like their belly was like to the wall.
Right.
So like, they were swimming like, what I'll be looking at them downwards is like they're laying flat, swimming along sideways because they're like, it's like
it's like they're disoriented.
Yeah, well, it's like you've grabbed the ocean floor and just turned it sideways, and that's how they're sort of like swimming around. So that was pretty funny. Not all fish were like that, but like the vast majority was sort of
silly
swimming.
Ones.
Yeah, But yeah, so we were sailing around for 5.5 weeks in absolutely paradise in such like some of the most remote islands in the world. We went to a lot of islands that were uninhabited as well, which was just like amazing to see such landscapes and seascapes that have pretty much been untouched by humans. They also got helped. The fish or seascapes got helped out by, I guess they have this toxin called ciguatera, which is a dinoflagellate that has a toxin in it that then the coral absorbs, and then the fish that eat the corals absorb that, and it just bioaccumulates in the fish. So the fish that eat the corals build it up, and the more the fish that they eat, the toxin builds up in these higher order fish. So a lot of your top order predators of fish, like your coral trouts or your red bass and all other species that are in your top order range, they're highly toxic, so nobody fishes for them. And so you've got these areas that are pretty much pristine, and so you're seeing what life should be like. We're swimming there and there's just like more coral trout than so many other species of fish. Like that's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's what it should be like back here, like seeing what life should be like underwater that's untouched by humans. So it was just absolutely incredible to see. And like some of these coral trout as well. So a lot of people in other parts of the world, like the Bahamas, I know they call their coral trout a bit like they call them gropers.
Yep.
What type of species? Well, they are a species of gropers, part of the Serenidae family, and they're like over a meter long, like they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, wow. The Humphead Maori wrasse, is that why they are so abundant? Or it seems like you saw a lot of them.
For a couple reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were there where there's still a lot of so much local fishing that goes on,
Yeah.
right? That's how they sustain a lot of their livelihood, where, they're selling fish, but they eat a lot of it as well. Mainly they were eating a lot of quite small fish. They sort of said to us, like, fish under your arm length, like your forearm. They said that's fine to eat. Anything bigger, don't eat. But with the Maori wrasse, they're a fish that they don't touch, so they've got a real spiritual connection to them as well. Which the Humphead Maori wrasse is super important for the reef, as it's a top order predator. It's one of the only fish that eats the crown of thorn starfish, which wreaks havoc on coral reefs.
Yep.
But swimming with them, you can see that they're like, they have this presence to them that is like they're looking at you, they're looking into your soul, that the locals call them like the king of the reef. Like they full suss you out, they're looking at you. And because they call them the king of the reef, they let them be, but they do eat some of them, but they only eat the ones, they give them to their chiefs. So it's like the chief's fish, but they eat everything else. So it was like a strange dynamic. Like, yeah, they're protecting them, but they keep them for the chiefs. So it was, pretty awesome to see so many of these species, because like they're highly vulnerable to overfishing, because they're a species that adds a pretty low fecundity to other species fish. They're long-lived. They don't breed as quickly as other fish as well. So they're very vulnerable to overfishing. But to see them everywhere, it was just like, and like they are one of the biggest fish on the reefs as well, and also so pretty. It was just amazing to see them, and I saw them in like landscapes where it was like knee deep of water, and it was like had to swim like side on, but it was like swimming side on and like fully checking me out in where like it was on this dive resort where like probably one of the most popular part of this little atoll that we're on. And it was just swimming around.
Yeah, I saw that footage and I thought it looked like that fish is on an angle.
Yeah,
It was.
It was, and it was checking us out. Like it full looks at you, and like it was one of the only fish really that like really swims up to you and just like will look at you, swim around. It was I could see why there's such a spiritual connection to this fish. Like it felt like it was a lot smarter than the other fish as well. Like it was. It felt like there was definitely something special about seeing them. I absolutely loved that fish, and to have that experience to swim with them and all that was like, I think that's a memory that's I'm gonna remember forever. And I don't know, just brings up like I seen like there was a photo that went viral not too long ago of, I think it's just this Queensland guy. He went and speared a massive one of them, and the thing went viral. But like there was a lot of people speaking like, going on this, like, how could you do that? And he just spoke about, it's like, oh, you don't know nothing. And it's like, well, I feel like he doesn't know nothing. Like they're an important fish for the reef. They're highly vulnerable, and he's just speared this absolutely massive one. Anyway, that was a little gripe. That one's sat deep in me for a long time. Been pretty angry over that.
I don't know if you want to talk about the spearfishing competition.
Yeah. Well, because like anyone that knows me, it's like that's where my passion all started from. Is fishing and spearfishing and all that. And we're on this little island or little atoll called Katu, which is an island that sailors don't go to at all, pretty much. So when we're on there, we're speaking to a few of the locals, and they said they're roughly about 30 years old, and they said they've seen about 10 sailboats in their whole life on this island. And they've been there for 30 years. Yeah. And there was a person that was about 20. She said she's only seen 2 sailboats. And when we rocked up, because we were in like a little flotilla, there was 6 of us, 6 sailboats sailing together, which is really rare for sailing. So anyone that goes sailing around the world would know that like sailing with a group is pretty rare. Yep. But we all rocked up at the same time. And that for the next 2 days, that there was about all the locals were just coming down, taking photos in front of the sailboats, because like we were a spectacle. Yeah, they haven't seen sailboats here. Yep. It was one of the only docks as well that was like inside the pass. So the pass is the connection from the ocean inside the atoll, where all the water flows in and out. Yeah. And yeah, that was a pretty unreal experience just in itself there. But then, yeah, we were just rocked up, I guess, at the right time as well, because we joined their local spearfishing competition. Not many of the people there spoke English, so like understanding the rules was really hard. But they had five rules which we could gather, which was like don't spear sharks, don't spear eels, don't spear the Humphead Mary wrasse.
Gonna say turtles.
Oh, turtles, yep. And I think rays. Yeah, stingrays didn't count. So those are the 5 fish, but everything else was like a free for all, which I didn't know at the time. So like we were talking to a couple of the locals beforehand. It's like, oh, they said they're going to have like a big barbecue where we do a big cook up. So I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be a pretty fun competition. We're going to go out, we're going to spear some fish, and then we're going to have a big cook up with the whole local community. And I thought that's going to be pretty awesome. Boy, was I wrong. It was like right from the get-go. So, and one of the other rules is that we all had to swim out from the local jetty. So where we're all moored up, we had to swim out from there. You weren't allowed boats. You had to swim, and you had to be in a partner with teams of 2. So we all, the siren went off at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we all just had to swim out and go from there. So, but it just turned into a pillage fest. Like as soon as we were swimming out, everything that moved, the locals were just spearing. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, right. Like fish that, to me at the time, I thought you can't eat these fish. They were spearing puffer fish, all these tiny little fish around this big, just like if it moved, it was shot. It was just like, for me, it was very disheartening. I was like, my heart just sank straight away. And so I said to my partner at the time, it was like, let's just shoot some fish to eat. And then, I don't want to really be a part of this. But, like understand cultural differences and everything like that. So it was interesting to see at the end when everyone came in to weigh in, and it was just like, oh my God, all these different fish species. Like some were just so pretty. And I was just like, taken back, try not to like be too emotional or anything, like understand, completely different culture. So that was it was a very unique, different experience that like there's part of me that was glad to see something, to be a part of that spearfishing competition, but also like,
it's eye-opening anyway. It was
eye-opening. Yeah, like they have so much respect for the reef, but I guess it's just like also a bit of like education, right?
Yep.
Like, I guess it's only a small area compared to the whole reef, but it was just like their back doorstep was like everything was just taken. It was, pretty crazy.
Yeah, interesting. Another spearfishing question. Is it the Dogtooth tuna that you were spearfishing?
Yeah.
So is that a new experience for you?
Yeah, I've never gone spearing for Dogtooth before.
Yeah.
And that was our main sort of goal while we're over there, was to spearfish Dogtooth tuna.
Yeah, right.
Which are, one of the most prized fish for spearfishing. Like we're one of they are the hardest fish to spear because of their power, their size, where they sit in the water column. That was, we were, I wouldn't say, we were a bit unlucky. We definitely understood why they're such a hard fish to go spearfishing for. So we didn't spear. We would sit there for hours in spots, just waiting for them. And we had to like learn a lot of different, the way that they move, where they swim, like areas that they are. We did a fair bit of research behind that and spoke to a lot of spearfishermen that do a lot of that kind of spearfishing. But what we learnt was that we were always on, like, where we saw most of them was on the north side of the pass, and that was because of the current. So the current was flowing, I guess, from more south to north, and it was on the incoming tide was when it was best for them. So that is because like these atolls, they're from land to about 200 meters out, like as the horizontally. If you drop down 200 meters out, you're probably at about 1,000 meters water. Yeah. Like they're, a volcanic island that's now sunk. So it slowly, like from land, it slowly tapers down to 10 meters within probably about 50 meters. Then slowly drops a little bit quicker to about 20 meters from about another 30 meters, and then about that at level, it goes straight down to like 200, 300 meters and continues off. And so when the tide starts coming in, that's water pushing into these islands and then creates this upwelling, and that brings up a lot of these nutrients and all that. So all these fish start feeding higher up in the water column, and then the dogtooth tuna, which is a top water predator, starts feeding on those fish. So that is the best chance for us to try spearfish them.
Yep.
But yeah, boy, they were hard. So we were probably a little bit underpowered with our spear guns while we're there, and just the power they have. Like you'd need to have. We had to rig up a breakaway rig, which is like, so when you spear the fish, it breaks away from your gun and then it has a big float line. And otherwise you get drowned trying to hold on to, because they got so much power. Like you can't hold on to the fish. They got so much power, and the sharks were relentless as well. Like everywhere we went, even on the uninhabited islands, like you would see maybe 4 or 5 sharks, which is pretty normal, or very quite low numbers. And you're like, okay, this is like, we're in a good spot here, got a good chance. Actually, I dove down to 20 meters of water, and I sat on the ledge and I looked down at the drop off, and then there would have been about 40, 50 sharks sitting around 40, 50 meters of depth going like, oh wow, that's where they all come from. So when the fish takes off after you speared it, they sense it and they just all come up, and then you get these shark noders of like 30, 40 sharks just going absolutely crazy. And then their behavior changes as well. And they, once the fish is gone, they start turning on you, and then you're like, there was a couple moments that me and my friend got a little bit scared, I guess, but like where we, and then had to jump in the boat a couple of times, but it was pretty thrilling. It was it was definitely different element as well. But
for sure. Yeah. How deep did you free dive, just out of interest? Did you go much past that 20 meter mark?
No.
When you're out in open ocean, does it sort of happen accidentally? You go, oh, I've gone down a bit far here.
No, like no, not free diving. Like I've got my watch to tell me to make sure I'm not pushing the limits of anything like that. Usually, most of the time we were free diving probably around the 15 meter mark. And then just a couple of times we went a bit deeper. But, and the other bit that for the spearfishing of the Dogtooth was that the best chances were at the very start, where their fish which is spearfishing with any fish, is that they're quite curious. And then so they might swim up to you, get close enough. Otherwise, they definitely hold back a bit.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, we're here to talk about your PhD. So as interesting as all this is, shall we start getting into it?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, this has just reminded me though of there's one thing I did want to
go for it.
Want to talk about. Two things actually. The first one is actually something that was sailing the big ocean, where we did I didn't do it as near enough a big sail, was what my friend did, where he went from across the Pacific, and that was like a 30-day sail. We did a 5-day sail, and it was really, my perception of the deep blue ocean, I guess, has definitely been changed from this experience. One, because I guess my perception has always been from the documentaries, like the BBC documentaries, David Attenborough, where they talk about there's so much life out in the blue ocean, and because they're always showing like, there definitely is life out there, and I guess there is a lot of life. But when I was out there, we saw nothing. Like when you're out in the deep blue, you don't see birds. We weren't seeing dolphins, not like hardly any fish. It was just like a desert. And it's not because there isn't life there. It's like, because there's not that much, I guess, smaller life to sustain bigger life. And like, there's obviously dolphins and everything around, but the ocean's so big. My perception of like that we're gonna see what I was expecting to like see dolphins occasionally and bird shoals and fish bust ups and and it wasn't.
No, you're talking about when you're sailing vast distances between these atolls and stuff. There was silence.
Yeah, a lot of silence and not much life out there, which then started making me think, it's like, well, we started seeing a lot of like where we said like we weren't even catching fish on the lures, and then when we were with all the other boats, they weren't catching fish in these distances. You know, we're sailing for 4 or 5 days, lures out all the time. Hardly all. You know, maybe you get one strike, but like I was expecting a lot mountain that. But then as soon as you come closer to these landmarks, or if you're coming over, you know, the underwater mountains under there, you catch fish there. But that's where everyone fishes. So when we started getting close to them, that's when we started catching fish. That's when you start seeing everything and all that. But that's where all the fishing happens as well.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, like that sort of, well, we really need to protect what's close to us. Like everyone thinks, oh, it can be sustained because there's so much ocean and all that. It can be refilled or, you know, replenished because from the ocean there. There's heaps of big tuna schools out there. It's like, it's pretty vast out there. There's not much out there. It's like, I think like in a way it's just like a catch-22 when these documentaries show it's like, oh, there's so much life out in the blue ocean. And then like that definitely influenced my perception incorrectly because I was like, oh, it feels like there's so much life out there. But I was like amazed that we're out there for so long and just like you see nothing. Yeah. Which is, to me that was crazy. And then, there was one other experience. So we were diving this shark wall in Fakarava. So they call it the shark wall because every June and July is like the grouper spawning season. And so there's the highest density of sharks, one of the highest density of sharks in the world. So much so that there's more sharks in this area than there is food production for them. Okay. And so this grouper spawning allows them to have enough food production for this small period of time. But long story short, that we went scuba diving on this shark wall and we were diving with about 300 sharks, which was absolutely incredible to see. But there was one little highlight within this. I was like swimming along this shark wall, and then I came across 3 small pufferfish, and I grabbed onto the reef and I was just like observing them, and I was like so close, and then one of them like swam up to me and just like looked at me, and I just like put my finger out and I started like just scratching its head and scratching its back, and it was like a little puppy. It just like its tail, it's like it curled its tail back up and it was just loving a scratch. And then the next one came and I started scratching that one. It was literally, I've never had this experience of fish. I was literally scratching them.
Are you sure?
I've got video footage.
Did you dream this?
No, it was like a dream though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a dream. It wasn't, it was a pretty that was an awesome experience. I absolutely loved it. They were like little puppies just like curling its back, and I was like, give him a little scratch here, and then the next one came, a little scratch, and it's like, I swear I could see them smiling too. Their mouths like wide, and they're like,
Oh, very good.
That was a pretty awesome experience.
You did a bit of science com while you're out there as well on your holiday.
Yeah. Well, that was obviously
never rests.
Yeah, never rest. That was pretty unexpected. So as I mentioned, we were like sailing around with this flotilla. There were a few other sailboats, which are just there were such amazing people. Like the generosity of sailors, that amazed me. Like everyone was just so generous and just happy to share, and so happy in general as well. Yeah. Probably because they're doing the best things in the world, and we're in probably the best place in the world. So very hard to be unhappy in there. But yeah, there was a few families, they had some young kids, and it all started by like this one night. One of the first nights we were with them, one of the boats had these underwater lights in there, and then I just went to the back of the boat at one of these nights, and there's just all these fish and shrimps and all this other zooplankton and all that just come to these lights, and I was literally just putting my hand in the water and just catching like little eels and fish and shrimps, and I had all these kids started, like I was bringing them and showing them to the kids and like being able to explain a bit of biology or ecology as well to them, and the adults got quite engaged as well. So that's where it started. And then like, a few nights in a row, we were like going spotlighting, and I was taking the little kids around, and we're walking along these atolls and looking in the water, and because there's so much life there. There was eels, crabs, fish, just even crayfish in like ankle deep water. Like it was unreal, like best place. But it sort of turned into a biology lesson, and because these sailors, they have these, when they're kids, they've got to give them homeschool over there, and it's all their homeschools via laptop. So I guess in a way, like to have a marine scientist be able to talk to them and show them all these things was a pretty unique experience. And, you know, I had a lot of fun doing it too because, I guess I love speaking to kids and educating, hence why we're doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And they just asked if we could do a presentation one night. And so while we're on that island in Katu all tied up together, we got a projector out and I put a little presentation together. And yeah, so I gave a presentation on top of a yacht on an atoll, which was like the best scene ever. It was amazing. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome.
And it's given me some ideas for hopefully some future things.
Okay.
Potentially. Yeah.
So now you're back here, back in Perth, come down to earth.
Yeah, it was a little bit sad.
Almost straight into your PhD. And you're just
4 days.
Weekend, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 4 days 3 days of rest actually. And then straight into the thick of it.
Yeah. And has it been a busy first week, or has it been just sitting there not sure what to do for the first week?
It's been hectic. I planned a lot of things before I went away in my first week, to like a lot of meetings and presentations and things like that in the first week. So I had all them, plus so I had to like make these presentations. And then there's always the unexpected things that come up within the first week. One of them being that I forgot to enroll myself in my PhD.
Good.
So I like clicked onto my like account and it's like, it said inactive. And I was like, wait, what's going on? And then I like went to the office and found out that I had to fill out all these forms and to technically be enrolled. So that was a little mistake at the start. And then, it was just meetings and I had podcasts to do this week as well. And so the presentations took me a lot longer than I thought. So it was like straight into it. So it's been a very, very, very busy week. Because these presentations was all for, I guess, from the last time we spoke, didn't have any money for the project, which I still don't have any money for the projects. It's been, trying to find out that way or find a way to get my project funded. Yeah. And I guess in one stage I missed out on one chance. So I was having some few conversations with someone that was potentially going to help fund my project. And then I know through these, that's like a government agency, right? There's a lot of things they have to do when it was the end of the financial year. And I thought I was being polite by just waiting, let them get there. I didn't want to hassle them and saying, okay, where are we going with this conversation? Are we going to be able to fund this part of the project or not? So I was just like, I'll wait a while to let things settle down and then I'll bring it up again. And then anyway, so I waited to let it settle down. Then I asked again and they literally said, it's like, mate, the money was there, but you were too late.
No.
And I was like, So that was a little lesson I've learned, is that you just got to keep the ball rolling. When it's happening, you just got to keep going. And I guess if they're too busy, they would say they're too busy, but you're on the forefront of their mind. So sometimes being too polite may hurt, but so that was unfortunate because that was a potential funding source. So oh well.
Moving on.
Moving on.
I hope you've had some success in the first week. But
no, everyone says like they like the idea. Ideas but there's no money, which is I was kind of expecting that, but I will persist and find other ways. But I'm trying to get because I will explain what the project is in a second. But before I want to have the biggest research impact from this project, and the way that is by helping managers out. So I'm trying to bring in these different managing groups to help out on the project and bring in their ideas and find out ways that this can help them as well. What are they wanting to know? What are they wanting to learn? And how can this more specifically would be the classification of estuaries help them to manage? So has your research question or questions, have they developed much over the last 3 months? Are you is it a bit of a chicken and egg thing where you need to have your
know who your stakeholders are before they can really completely take shape, or do you know what your direction is and it's about bringing them on board?
It's a good question. A little bit, right? I guess, but my questions are pretty specific, and that will definitely help out. It would definitely help out managers. So I'll explain it in a lot more detail now. So
yeah, sure.
My first chapter is the classification of estuaries in southwestern Australia, and so it's very niche. So back in pre-2020, there was thought to be about 50 estuaries in southwestern Australia.
Yep.
And then I started working on this during my honours. We're working on the idea, and we turned it into supplementary material in my honours. And it all started, I guess, with everything that met the definition of an estuary. I went and scoured the coastline via satellite data and marked a point. And then we've come up with 155 estuaries, and then through since 2020, did many field trips to ground truth these estuaries to see what they look like, and also then I measured every parameter that I can do via Google Earth, and so I came up with 26 different parameters, and then we classified them into 10 different types of estuaries.
Yep.
And then we also, with the existing biological data that we had, which is we had 24 estuaries with biological data. We then biologically validated that these 10 different types of estuaries have unique fauna to each other. So each type of estuary, their fauna is quite similar, but compare it to the other type of estuary that's quite unique, which then that it alone has a lot of management implications.
Yeah.
But there's big gaps still. There's 4 types of estuaries that we have no biological data for.
Yeah, okay.
So that my first chapter will be the classification, but I want to fill in those gaps. So I want to go sampling those estuaries that we don't have any biological data for. One being what we are calling the predominantly open estuaries. So these estuaries are open for around 90 to 99% of the time of the year.
Yep.
These are this particular group is the only type of estuaries that have year-long flow. So a lot of estuaries, during summertime when rainfall is low, they won't have flow going into the estuaries, where these ones are in the wettest part of the southwestern Australia.
Yep.
So straight away, flow and salinity and the connectivity to the ocean, they are the main influences of fish and invertebrate fauna inside the estuaries. That's what I found out throughout my honours.
Yep.
My honours quickly was just we sampled the fish and invertebrate fauna of 8 different estuaries in the Albany region. And so that is one type of estuary that we want to fill the gaps in. And then another one's called estuarine lakes. So these type of estuaries actually are not just solely southwestern Australian estuaries. They're the same type of estuaries that are found in a category that was in South Africa.
Yep.
And so these estuarine lakes are like a big body of water that is that's connected to the ocean through a long, narrow entrance channel. So these big bodies of water are also slightly elevated above sea level,
right?
Which means that when they connect to the ocean, the sea level doesn't always push into the big lake part.
Yep.
So the salinity levels are generally really quite low for this. For an example, when I was in a place in the southwest, which is in the Fitzgerald National Park, where the rainfall is the lowest in the southwest, one of the estuaries was 180 parts per thousand in salinity and in contact. So seawater's 35. So this estuary was extremely salty.
Yep.
200 meters down the beach was an estuarine lake, and that water was maybe only about 20 meters from the ocean. That was 8 parts per thousand.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's just to show that these estuaries, even though that when they connect to the ocean, the salt sort of, I guess, it's probably more in an outflow phase, than maybe less seawater permeating in.
Yep.
But they hold estuarine fauna inside there. So speaking to locals and speaking to the range in there, they said that there's bream, there's mullet. They talk about flatheads and all these marine species or an estuarine species living inside them. But we have no idea what actually lives in there scientifically. So that's another estuary type that we're going to be looking into. And then there's these micro outlets or ephemeral estuaries and micro estuaries. And this is which links in straight into my second chapter. So as what ephemeral means is that these estuaries actually dry up every year, but they have an estuarine body that during high rainfall areas, sometimes they will last for years, but they may dry up at some stage in their life. And they create this little unique ecosystem, which from a pilot study we did in 2022, I think, we found that like these systems can have like huge densities of tadpoles and frogs in there. And sometimes they're like quite salty. So we're finding frogs living in like brackish water, like 15 parts per thousand, which is like unheard of.
Okay.
And dense and like multiple species of tadpoles as well, all living in one little bit. And then also I was finding all these like strange looking crustaceans and crabs that when I showed a few taxonomists what these species are via photo, they were like, I have no idea. So that could be exciting in that alone. And then the microestuaries as well, there was definitely some really unique findings from that, which I don't want to give away just yet. But these are not solely Southwest Australian type of estuaries. So this category is also from the South African classification. So these estuaries are very similar to the ones over there. And so we're sort of expecting a little of the similar findings as well. And yeah, so I'm hoping from my PhD, like that will be my second chapter. And that's going to be a lot of fun exploring those. So that because a lot of them are so remote, and like some of them are really they're quite large. Like we're finding black brim in a few of them as well, which is like a highly recreationally targeted species here in southwestern Australia. But a lot of these estuaries, which is going to be awesome if I can get to them, is like because there's no roads there, no four-wheel drive. Some of them don't even have like hiking trails to them. And so I think getting to those is going to be so fun. Like you're going to have to be literally just like walking through the bush.
Boat. Is boat an option for
the South Coast? Majority of them are on the South Coast. Well, South Coast it's raw, wild ocean. So, and like there's no boat, like very limited boat ramps. There's like 4 or 5 boat ramps on the whole South Coast, which is like, a couple thousand kilometers. And so, getting into it by boat is impossible.
Bumpy ride.
A bumpy ride. So that's why a lot of these systems were never found as well, is because they're just so remote. There's so much land down there that's like hard, not really explored at all. And then my third chapter, which is going to look at the effects of hypersalinity, which is one of the main effects on estuaries at the moment, in probably globally actually, because we're going through climate change with the reduction of rainfall, a lot of land clearing, which then leads into secondary salinization. These estuaries are reaching, we found the saltiest estuary on Earth, which reached 345 parts per thousand. Nothing lives in that. Nothing at all. I'm quickly going off topic, but walking around that estuary itself, there was a few of them that were in extreme hypersalinity states like that. There was no animals there at all, not even mosquitoes and midges, because they have an aquatic larvae phase. And they could not, breed or survive in that salinity. And as we know how important, say, mosquitoes and midges are for a food source for so many different terrestrial fauna, there was like nothing. It was just like an area where there was just no animals, no life, nothing, which is like that. That's scary, because these estuaries, which provides so much resources for, a range of so many different things for humans, for animals, for plants, nutrient recycling, like everything. It was, scary to see like the death of estuaries in this space. So my research question for my for my chapter 3 hypersalinity will be, I guess, looking at the tipping points of these estuaries. When as it reaches levels that, fish start dying off, how does the estuary can recover after such an event in there? Like, where do the fish find refuge? So which is going to be probably one of my favorite parts, is like hiking up these riverbeds, like kilometers. We're going to be hopefully camping along the banks of the estuary, just trying to get to some of these like water holes.
Yep.
And see what fish live in there. Can they like recruit from there, or they have to recruit from the ocean, or like maybe they have to recruit from these micro estuaries, because a lot of them don't. They were there when these estuaries were completely dried up.
Yeah.
And then also looking at what does the estuary look like after years of an event of such. So one of the estuaries we worked in through my honours was Beaufort Inlet, where we saw the estuary just had major fish kills through there, and there was only one species of fish surviving. And there was only one fish in there, one species of fish for a year and a half. And then it breached to the ocean, and that's when we published a paper about the alternative stable states of the estuary, where we saw the estuary in an estuarine state and then switched to a salt lake state. Yeah. But then when it switched back to the estuary state, it lost a lot of its fauna.
Yeah, okay.
In there that never recovered back from that.
Yeah.
So I want to hopefully be able to go back to that estuary 5 years after this event and see what's changed in there. Like, has it recruited, everything's recruited back in there, or is it still in a state like this, which means that, a lot of this is not the first time an estuary went through that phase. Like, these are a lot of estuaries that have gone through this way before this one, but it's like a canary in the coal mine. Like, this is like what we might be seeing in the future for all our other estuaries.
So when is that 5-year point? This is from...
Well, right now it's 5 years after that event. So I guess, my first, I'm hoping my first field trip will be in autumn next year. That's what I'm aiming for, but I also have no funding. So estuaries, if anyone's listened to the podcast with James about estuaries, like, they're probably one of the most important ecosystems we have, that of the ecosystem services they provide, but no one cares about them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I find that just gobsmacking, to be honest. Like, it's a whole ecosystem, and there's like, we struggle to find like $5,000 to do a research project in there, where there's like, other research projects that get millions of dollars, and mainly because they all get funded by mining companies.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's
listening to that James episode, what stuck with me is that, these are things that we live on them, and we just don't think of them as anything like the Swan, or in Melbourne, the Yarra. And they're just like, we just think of them as dirty bits of water that get in the way and make it hard to get around our cities. And these are important.
Well, we lived on them because that made it easy to get around.
Yeah.
Now they're obviously with cars and everything, it's a bit different.
Not good for traffic.
No. But I'm hoping all this changes.
Yeah.
And so
I wondered, when you were doing that episode with James, were you thinking, like, were the cogs turning while you were having that conversation and developing ideas for your PhD, or are you always on in that way?
Yeah, 100%. It's hard. You can never turn that side of your brain off. Even while I was away on holiday, it was, I've come up with so many research questions that I would love to explore. Like, that side of your brain never switches off. With the one, I can't remember any specific topics that I thought of when I was with James in that episode, but that episode did blow me away. Like, I've spent 8 years researching estuaries, and it just sort of come to show how little you know.
If you knew everything, then there wouldn't be a PhD, I guess. So,
that's true. But I was more saying like little that I know compared to James.
Yeah.
In that, I was like, he's been my teacher for so long, and I was like, yeah,
he's fairly knowledgeable.
Oh, very, 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 very much.
What's making you nervous about the PhD? What would you say is the thing that you have the biggest reservations about? Or,
the two biggest ones right now. Well, three biggest ones right now, really, trying to separate them. One would be finding money for the project. That's probably the top of my concerns, because there's no project if I can't find funding. And then the second one is probably living off the salary the stipend you get. It's like such a lower amount than when I was working full time. And then speaking to all these other PhD students that have gone through, they all have to work an extra job to survive pretty much. And then that amount of pressure that gets put onto them because that's taken time out of their studies, out of their research. And then, you see them like burning out because, they lose their social life or they lose their activities. And because they're having to work just all the time. So that's really worrying for me. Well, really worrying me at the moment. So I know hopefully I can find a way that can help out in that sense. Like, I think we brought it up before. It's like pretty crazy. Like I think you were the one that said this. It's like could be the top of your career in achievements, and you're working as hard as ever, but you're working on. So for I might as well say like at Murdoch here, it's $37,000 a year is what is your annual wage, which I'm going to get this wrong potentially, but I'm pretty sure the minimum wage is like $44,000. So it's pretty, in a way, like I don't want to complain, but I think you don't really need to complain to understand that. Like it seems like for a lot of students, for a lot of people, that one of the hardest challenges is surviving through that period where, like, if you can only imagine if you had like a comfortable wage to live off that, and that stress and pressure wasn't there. Imagine the amount of work that you could do.
Yeah.
Like straight away when you're stressed and under like sleep deprived and all that, your work and productivity is way less anyway. But if you didn't have that stress and you had extra time and more time to work on that, I think you could achieve a lot more. Yeah. And so those two are the biggest things worrying me at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you obviously know a lot about sampling techniques and things that you're doing. Is there any particular skill that you're anticipating you'll need to pick up for the PhD?
100%.
Yeah.
I know my writing quality is so poor straight away.
Yeah.
Like, I was never good at English all through high schools, and I was in the lowest class in there, mainly because also like I never took interest at school as well. I was very much more into sport and having fun with friends.
It's quite natural.
Yeah, it is. But I now, in a way, not want to say regret it, but just it's impacted me now that I can't. My writing style and quality, especially scientific writing, isn't the greatest. But I'm excited to spend more time learning that and become better and be able to publish papers. And then I guess it's the same with statistics.
Yeah.
So those two are the main skills that I'm like really wanting to improve on. Is understanding the statistics, what statistics to do, and yeah. So those two are skills that I'm really wanting to get out.
Yeah. You were saying to me earlier that your grades throughout your undergrad were not, that particularly outstanding. How did you get into a PhD? I think people would be really interested to hear about that if, they're coming from, the same sort of perspective where you haven't been a super high achiever grades-wise, and to hear that you can do a PhD and how that pathway opened up for you would be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So my undergrad grades, that question actually is from someone else. When my school grades were pretty poor, my undergrad grades weren't fantastic, but they were not too bad. So it was, and then my honours grade was really quite high. But yeah, there's definitely always options. I know so many different PhD students as well that did not have first class honours, or they were like a 2B honours, and they've got PhDs. So there's always opportunities. Going back to my undergrad, definitely I wasn't a top student at all in that, but that was more because James took me under his wing, and then inspired passion in me about estuaries, and then I was really driven by passion. So like, in terms of the young people going through university and all that, is find your passion. Yeah. I would even suggest before you even choosing a subject at university, find what you're passionate about. When you find passion, you find that you're wanting to learn. You're not just going to university to get a degree, because you're also paying a lot of money to go to university. You want to find what you're passionate about, and then work, and then like university gets fun because you're wanting to learn, you're wanting to like continue on because it's it's not easy, and so if you're passionate about something, you find it easier to get through those times. But yeah, like so people that have completed their undergrad, completed their honours or masters, and didn't come out with the best scores, there's still so many opportunities out there.
Yeah.
I would start by just finding an idea of what you find interesting or what you're wanting to specialize in, because a PhD is where you really narrow in and focus on a subject and you become the specialist in that area. So sort of firstly find what that part is, and then go speak to other academics and see what's out there, establish a relationship, or start working in that space, because you're going to build up experience, and experience to me is more important than what your academic grades are. Yeah. Like there's so many variables in life that could happen that can influence your academic grade. Yeah. But if you build up experience, that's invaluable. Yeah. And so I would start by that and speak, because there would be always ways in there. As I said before, like there's a lot of PhD students that I know that never came out with first class honours or a high mark in masters. Yeah.
From what I can tell, like those relationships with academics, if you can form them and show that you care about something and that you're willing to put the effort in, that means a lot more to an academic. It might take you under their wing than your grade.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And the opportunities are there. Like I know through there's been a big drop in PhD applicants, especially for domestic in Australia over the years. And personally, I think that's probably because a lot of people find it hard to live off such a low wage. I know that's mentioned, but I know there's so many people working in other government departments and other consultancies and all that there's people that probably should have PhDs, but they don't, because they don't want to drop off working and getting paid that amount. Yeah. That seems to be like the scariest thing for them. Yeah. Stopping them from doing PhDs. So, but there's a lot of international students as well. Yeah. That are coming in. Because of that. But I know Australia offers a lot of PhD scholarships to domestic people, like they're reserved for domestic students. Yeah. So there's opportunities. Yeah. Yeah. I think just speak to academics, speak to the people, and then, I know a lot of academics don't always advertise what PhD projects are there. And or you could try something like myself where you just come up with your PhD project and try to find the funding for it.
Yeah. Cool. So what's next? What's your next step or next sort of milestone? I know you're probably going to say something about getting funding, but if we can,
I'll avoid that. Yeah. So the next PhD milestone is a confirmation of candidature. Yeah. So you got to do a big lit review and basically find out everything you know about the topic, or everything that's known about the topic globally, and then find the research gaps within that, and then formulate your questions around that. Yeah. And then you got to do the confirmation of candidature is to basically present and show that you've thought out your topic thoroughly. You have, thought out thoroughly, but not just from the research perspective, but also funding and how you're going to pay for it, how it's going to work, what are your goals and how you're going to achieve it throughout. Like you got to create this timeline, which is like
goes out the window straight away.
Yeah, pretty much does. It's a bit of a box ticking exercise. Yeah. And then so that's 6 months from now. But like, this is what I want to do with science, right? Like science can be dull and boring a lot of the time. I want to turn it into a bit more of like a lot more exciting. Okay. So I have had quite a few conversations with James, about this, and like, because it's like confirmation of candidature is probably your second most important part of your PhD, because they can deny you actually doing a PhD after that if they don't think you're suitable for it. But I want to turn my presentation into a bit like a show. I want to make science fun and exciting and get like everyone involved, right? I want to like and make it digestible to the whole public, not just scientists, as well. So like I gotta figure out how I'm going to do it. Whether I have to do two presentations, like one strictly by the book and follow what the university wants for that.
Yep.
I've only spoken to my supervisor about it, so I got to figure out what I'm actually allowed to do. But then the other one, I'm saying this now. I'm hoping we can make it happen, and then hopefully in 6 months we actually do this show. Because I've got videos for 5 years about all these crazy things that we have done that explains what I'm doing and all that, make it, and hopefully try to bring in props and things and make this into a fun educational show for like all ages.
Yeah.
And then hence why we're doing this podcast as well, is take people along this PhD journey. I'm sure there's going to be struggles, and 100% there's going to be struggles, but highs and lows. That's what I'm hoping to do. So that's pretty much at the moment is what's next. And I am, as I mentioned, like we've filmed everything for the last 5-6 years of the research that I've been involved in, but I want to take that to the next level as well. So I'm having a few conversations with some friends that are videographers, and then one of the guys that I met overseas, Mark Sinot, who's now one of my idols. He's lived this amazing life. He's got multiple documentaries on Disney, Netflix, where he's gone to the very edges of Earth, exploring, and there was actually a couple for science. The Last Tepui on Disney. I'd recommend watching that, where they went looking for this species of frog on like a tepui is where like a landmass. Where everything's fallen, the land's fallen down around it, and it's like left these like tabletop mountains, and they were finding new species of frogs on these mountains. That's a great document. But like I spent a lot of time with him. We actually did a podcast with him as well. So that will be coming out after this one in a few weeks. And he was very inspirational he said that he gave me a lot of like positive feedback thing. He said that he likes the way I sound and look on camera, which then has inspired me to keep pursuing that dream. I'm hoping to have my PhD properly filled as well, because I guess we're going to be exploring some super remote areas. We're going to be camping. There's going to be storms. There's going to be ups and downs. We're going to be like away from, if you're hiking multiple days into like just the wilderness. That's pretty unreal as itself. And then I'm sure there's going to be discoveries of maybe new species, but maybe just different things like that we're going to find out. So that's part of what's next, I guess. Yeah.
Exciting. All right.
What about you?
I'll disappear for 6 months or so, do some editing. Yeah,
we didn't quite get you into the studio. It's a bit harder. I thought the guests would be like, they all want to do it during work hours, which is the hard bit. So
we know I'm not a flexible kind of guy.
Work a full-time job, and like I do want to mention, anyone that listens to the podcast, Dan does an exceptional effort because he's editing these podcasts. He's got 3 young kids. How old's Darcy? 3? Yeah. So he's got 3 kids under the age of 3 that aren't sleeping. They're always sick. So which means you're always sick, plus you're working a full-time job, and then you're editing a podcast, and the audio and the visuals rarely late at night.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And you're not getting paid.
No, it's good fun.
We're doing it for the passion. So yeah. There's a lot of effort that goes on behind the scenes. For these. So, well, I know I say thank you to all the time.
Oh no, of course. I'm appreciated.
So
you're welcome.
Hopefully this gets a bit bigger in the future, and then who knows where this can go.
Yeah, but so when's our next PhD check-in? Are we going to do it around that confirmation time? Or sooner?
If something happens, I think.
We can see if it's worth listening to in 3 months. And
and if something happens that maybe is worth noting something down, or otherwise it probably will be 6 months. So we'll touch base then. But also anyone that listens, feel free to reach out whenever. Like I always love talking to people. And if you've got any questions, I get a lot of messages from a lot of high school students asking like how to get into certain types of work and all that. And more than happy to do so.
Yeah.
To help people out, because like we've all got the same goal of conserving our environment. And if we've got fun and inspire more people to pursue this dream, then we're all on the same page.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Paramount importance.